guys, it's Andrea, Live2Play, and we're checking out some SBL readings so that we can show you guys how to control your stage volume in those times where you want to get some really good tone, but you have to deal with somebody who says you're too loud. So we're going to experiment with a little bit of different pointing the amp in different directions. We're going to take some SPL readings and see how it changes and, you know, ideas you can use on stage. So first we're going to start with, this is obviously me playing straight at you. Okay, amp pointed straight at the crowd, set pretty high. So Rev's going to take the SPL reading for us here.
Okay, so we were in the 90 dB range there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take that amp and we're going to turn it in the other direction. So it is facing actually like the back of the room. See, not bad for a girl, huh?
Eats my spinach.
Okay, so now this is an open back cabinet, so it's not going to make as big a difference as if this were a closed back, like a Marshall type cabinet, but you should be able to see it no matter what.
But you can use this trick a lot because very often you'll be in rooms where you could, if you're on a stage, you can either point this like into a curtain or off into the wings of the stage, and if you set up a mic, because you need that anyway, you're not going to lose your tone, even though you're kind of reducing the overall volume out to the crowd.
That's, yeah, because it's coming actually off the stage. Okay, so let's try that with it face backwards.
Same deal.
Okay, now you see it dropped it a little bit, maybe 2 dB, which isn't a huge amount, but you know, when you're on a loud stage, especially in a small room, every little bit helps. Again, you could make that a lot more noticeable by if you had a closed back cabinet. So let's do this. There's something on old Fender cabinets, and actually I think new ones too, that you don't see that much anymore. And there's these, what they call it, tilt back legs. I don't know.
I gotta take it to the gym, right?
Hey, I go a few times a week. Yeah, right. Okay, so that's these little legs on the side. The whole idea, and this is one of the problems with guitar players, is that the amp is pointing at your knees. So the idea here is to lean it back a little bit so that you can hear it. So let's see if it makes any difference at all in our level here. Now, ironically, at this distance, it actually got louder because the amp's pointed more towards us. I'm going to move the camera back a little bit so it's more like what you'd be if you were off stage.
That's Larry.
That's Larry, who is very nicely giving us the ability to do this here at HJS Productions in Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay, so let's try that again. Okay, again, you got a little bit of a dip, not much, couple dB is all. There's one other trick, and then we're going to show you a piece of gear that you can use to really help this. When I was with John Cooper, who was out with Springsteen at the time, that's an incredibly loud stage. I remember seeing him there and asking him about Steve Van Zandt, who only had one amp, and he said, yeah, Steve's got one amp set on stun. So they, big Marshalls and big Fender combos, what they had is a version of this, but really, really extreme. Those cabinets were tilted back, but we're actually going to lay it on its back because that's basically the way these were set up. And especially with this, it wasn't so much the volume coming off the stage as it was the guitar amps getting into the vocal mics is what they were trying to keep from happening. So Here we go. Let me get my meter back up here, and okay, let's give that a shot. Now, that was a dramatic difference. That was down 5 or 6 dB, which, especially if you're trying to keep it out of the vocal mics, that's huge. That's a big difference.
Closed back cabinet also.
Yeah, right. And like we said before, with a closed back cabinet versus an open back cabinet, you're going to see a lot more difference by re-aiming the cabinet on a closed back than you are. Or like that third power one, that's right over there back behind.
It shows both ways.
It does. It's got a little panel you can pull out of it to make it open back or closed. So the last thing we're going to do is show you something that's going to make Larry gag, because he's a tone guitar player. This is a hot plate made by a company called THD. What this is a attenuator. These things have gotten a really bad rap for good reason, because the ones that came out originally were just a resistor in line that you you dial off some of the power from the amp, and they really, really adversely affected the tone. I mean, it made things really thin. These are different. They're stupid expensive. I think this is $350, $360. I paid as much for 2 of these as I did for one of my Boogie amps. But you can dial it back, and because the problem with a power soak that's a resistor is it's linear, and it doesn't react in the same way that a speaker does. What this does is there's a fan in the bottom and a light bulb, and the power that you're soaking off of the speaker is actually powering the fan and the light bulb, which acts more like a speaker does. So we're going to stick this in between the, we need a speaker cable, in between the output of the amp and the speaker, and show you how we can bring down the volume on that with hopefully without affecting the tone too much. Okay, so now we've got the hot plate plugged in, and we're going to make the admission right up front. It does affect the tone to some level. Larry just said that, I said, well, if you have to dial it back, and he said cancel the gig. That's not always an option. So right now it's set up, it is plugged in, but it is not dialing anything back. It's set at 0 dB right now. And we'll show you as we dial it back how much it affects the overall level.
Here, your meter.
Where's my meter? Okay, so there we are. It's running about 92, 93 generally.
How the hell does this thing work?
So now that's dialed down 8 dB. So you can see it's like I said, it's dialing it back about 4 dB. Instead of it peaking out at 95, 96, it's peaking out at about 92. And that's more extreme. That's a 16 dB cut.
That's playing for your grandma.
Yeah.
But you might have one of those gigs where, they want it that low.
And this is I've got a couple of boogies, and that's what I use. And I use 2 of these to keep the volume under control, because those old boogies produce, I think Larry called it a ridiculous amount of volume. Yes, so yeah, it does affect the tone to a certain degree, but it's still acceptable, at least to me.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's an acceptable sound. So there you go. Some tricks for getting the damn loud guitar player down to a reasonable level. And we're all guitar players, so we're allowed to say that. Guitar players, drummers, and brass are the biggest problems on any stage. So there you go. Some ideas for bringing your volume down.
There you go.
We're out.